Okay, so hopefully this is recording. Okay, let's go screen share. Okay, let's go entire screen. All right, so I'm not going to cover everything, obviously, but we're going to hit the high points. I got a lot of slides, so any slide on the PowerPoint is fair game, any picture. But I also have some additional pictures I put in this review that are really nice. Some of them are just of models from our room. Or similar ones. And so anyway, and then here's some microscope slides. This is really nice. So if this under the scope, it goes, what tissue is this? Be specific. You would go, skeletal muscle. What is that? Well, that's a nucleus. Right? There's one. Is it multinucleated? Yeah. Is it striated? Does it have little stripes? Yeah. Is it voluntary for the most part? Yes. So the little dark stripe right there, that would be an A band. The one next to it would be an I band, A band, I band, A band, I band. Z lines would be running down here, but you can't really see them. Oh, and look, you can even see the H zone, the little clearing in the middle of the A bands. This is a really, really good picture. It's a little lower resolution, but it's kind of nice because you can see the connective tissue that's kind of ripped off of this fiber. Remember, fiber and cell, same thing. Okay, so this would be endomysium, because remember, endomysium is the connective tissue around a fiber. Sarcolemma is the cell membrane. Outside of that would be the endomysium. Could this technically be paramysium? Yeah, if you were on the edge of a fascicle, it could. Right, but who knows? Probably it's endomysium. You can see multinucleated, striated, really nice. This is a good model. We have this. They did a different color scheme than what's on our PowerPoint. They did the T-tubules in blue instead of yellow, right? And they did the sarcoplasmic reticulum in tan instead of blue, right? So don't get thrown off by the colors. So that's a T-tubular, transverse tubule, carries the signal, right? These are this is the sarcoplasmic reticulum, so that stores and releases calcium. The edge of it, this bulged out end, is the terminal cisterna. Terminal cisterna, AE would be plural. Remember, in physiology, they call those lateral sacs. I'll take either one, but I tend to call them terminal cisterna. You can see the sarcolemma. You can see the connective tissue outside the sarcolemma, which would be endomysium. You can see where the little axon is coming in, and then you got your little synaptic area here. So you got the little vesicles full of acetylcholine there, right? Here's your motor end plate, which is on the cell side, right? There's a little gap in between called the synapse, okay? Got mitochondria all over the place because you need a lot of ATP, right? So, pretty cool. It's just a better zoomed out view where you can see the endomysium really nicely. You can see the fibrils. You can call them myofibrils, but I'm just lazy. I go fibril. Pretty nice. Okay. We're going to just skip around, right? So I just threw these slides up, and wherever they landed, they landed. I didn't put them in any kind of order. But this is the nose, the bones of the nose, right? So that's medial. So this is lateral. So that would be your lateral rectus. This would be your superior rectus. You can kind of see some of your superior oblique going through the little trochlea here, but it's not great. You can even see a little bit of the inferior oblique down here. Remember, lateral rectus makes you look laterally. Superior rectus makes you look up. Barely see inferior rectus down here. I don't like it. That's going to obviously make you look down. Medial rectus will make you look to the inside. Superior oblique makes you look down and out. Inferior oblique makes you look up and out. Here would be your external intercostals. and this would be your internal intercostals. So remember, the externals help you inhale, and the internals help you exhale. Okay. There's your diaphragm. Well, you kind of see the diaphragm under there. It's a nice little head drawing of the muscles of the head and neck. Remember, I'm never going to point to temporoparietalis. That's usually gone on most of our models. So we'll just go temporalis if I'm pointing here. Go frontalis if I'm pointing here. Occipitalis if I'm pointing here. I know in your book it goes frontal belly of the occipitofrontalis. They're calling all this one muscle, occipitofrontalis. And they'll say occipital belly of the occipitofrontalis. That's too much. If I point there and you want to go occipitalis, I'm happy. You want to go frontalis, that's good. Point at this thing, that's the epicranial aponeurosis. That's the new name, which everyone uses now. Nobody uses the old name, Galea aponeurotica. Very few use that. So this would be the orbicularis oculi. Close the eyelids, right? This is the masseter. That's a muscle of mastication, by the way, just like the temporalis is a muscle of mastication. So is the platysma down here that they've kind of cut away. That's a muscle of mastication. So the platysma will lower the mandible. These will raise it or elevate it. Okay, so the master and the temporalis will elevate the mandible. There's zygomaticus major, zygomaticus minor. It's kind of a general rule. The minors are on the top. So that's not always true. I'll show you an exception in a minute. There's your orbicularis oris. Don't confuse it with orbicularis oculi. There's your depressor anguli oris. Going to make you frown. They took away, there's a little strip of muscle right here on towards the outside called the rasorius that makes you grimace or moves the mouth to the side. But you can't see it. Moves the corner of the mouth laterally. But you can see the buccinator under it, which compresses the cheek. That's, I think in Latin that means trumpeter, right? We're not going to go too much into origins and insertions and actions, but just remember, for the masseter, the origin, this is the most stable part. Remember, origin's more stable. That's the zygomatic arch. The ramus of the mandible's moving, so that's the insertion. Okay. Let's look at sternocleidomastoid. The origin would be down here, sternum and clavicle. That's what's stable, and then the part that moves would be up here. So when you pull on the mastoid process. So if you activate both your sternocleidomastoids, remember you got one on the other side, that's going to flex your neck. And it's just some different views, but it's really nice. You can see occipitalis, epicranial aponeurosis, frontalis, temporalis, orbicularis oculi, zygomaticus minor, zygomaticus major, masseter, buccinator. Oh, it's kind of cool. That's where they cut the little rasorius. Right? Depressor anguli oris, orbicularis oris. Oh, they did not cut the platysma. Did I say orbicularis oculi? I think I did. And there's some of your sternocleidomastoid. So that's a really good drawing. This is just another little view, basically same. In lecture, I don't know. Well, I have to find out if they did these muscles here, here, and here on your lab book. Okay. I think that's your levator scapula right there. There's your pectoralis major, and then you peel that up and you'll see pectoralis minor. So the minor's not on top here. Okay. So pec major, I have a bad habit of doing that. Pec major, do pectoralis, spell it out. Pectoralis major, pectoralis minor. You can see the origin's going to be here. Same thing, the origin's going to be here. Because this is more stable, right? And then this is going to insert on your coracoid process. So that's the insertion, because that's what moves. Okay, and then we're skipping around. So then this is just a sarcomere. Remember, from Z-line to Z-line is a sarcomere, functional unit of skeletal muscle in this section that we're on. And then there's your M line. The blue stuff is your myosin. That's considered the thick filament. And the red stuff is actin. That's considered your thin filament. There's a little more stuff on it than that goes in with that thin filament. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if I go, what's a thin filament? You go actin, I'm going to give it to you. There's your titin, T-I-T-I-N. Okay? Kind of stabilizes the myosins. There's your H zone, that little clearing. In your book, they now call it the H band. Right? And you can kind of see the little myosin heads here where they can grab the actin and pull it in. So that's a pretty good little drawing. Here you can see the heads better. Okay. And then here's everything labeled for you. That's really good. I got this without the words on it too, by the way. But you can see the H zone. You can see the A band. Sometimes I go, what's the band labeled A? Just making a joke. It's obviously it's A band. Remember, dark has the letter A in it, and light has the letter I in it. So this one's dark, and that one's light. This one's dark, and that one's light. Okay, when you're looking at it under a light microscope. And so that whole thing we're looking at is a fibril. Notice they're calling it a Z disc instead of a Z line, because yeah, technically that's true. Look at the shape of this. But when you're looking at it straight down from, a microscope, it looks like a line. So Z line is fine. And that's just showing you a different, it's kind of nice. They filled up your sarcolemma. Right? See the sarcolemma, the cell membrane. Now, we're looking at the whole darn muscle. So this is epimysium, the connective tissue around the entire muscle. Okay? Then these are fascicles. So they're pretty big. You can see them with your eyes. So this will be a fascicle, and the connective tissue around the fascicle will be paramysium. This fascicle is a bundle of cells, so these are fibers. This is a fiber, which is the same thing as cell. You're looking at a cell because look at the nuclei. Okay? And so that, even though they didn't draw it, would have endomysium around it. And of course, these would be your filaments. Okay? And that's just another drawing, but it's showing you the connective tissue pretty nice. Okay? Now, skipping around, that's a model, we have a model very similar to this, but it's showing you the pec major, then they peeled it up, and you can see the pec minor. See the way it went off of ribs 2, 3, 4, and 5 on this one, and all the other ones, it originated on just 3, 4, and 5. So I find that all the time. This is your rectus abdominis, right? This is your linea alba, white line. This is your rectus sheath, right? And then this muscle over here, that would be your external oblique. They peeled it up over here, and see the way it's making an A-frame? That's your internal oblique. Now, if you peel this up and look under that, there'll be one that's just going straight across like this, and that's your transversus abdominis. Okay, you can even see some of your serratus anterior here. Remember, that's originating on ribs 1 through 9. And it's just good for looking at some of the whole stuff from far away. There you can see the platysma on one side, really nice. You can see the biceps. You can see the brachioradialis. You can see the external oblique, rectus abdominis. Even see the internal oblique, although we're kind of zoomed out. I doubt I would do that from this far away. Sartorius, you can see really nice. And you can see some of your quads here, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis. Tibialis anterior right here. So this shoulder, you're looking at from the back because you see the spine, right? So this would be supraspinatus, right? This would be infraspinatus, right? This would be teres minor. Remember, minors tend to be on top, and teres major. And look what's splitting in between them here. So this is the back of the arm. Remember, that's your long head of your triceps brachii. This would be your lateral head of your triceps brachii here. So 3 of these, 1, 2, 3, are your rotator cuff muscles, and you're not seeing the subscapularis, which on the other side. So here's the other side. That would be the subs. See, anterior view. That would be subscapularis. Here, this is a little fuzzy, I know, but that's your spinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor. All right, so you can see your levator scapula. Here's your trapezius, the big guy. They peel that up over here, so you can see your rhomboid minor, rhomboid major. See the way those are, the minors on top again? This is your lats. Don't call them the lats. You're only going to get a half point. Latissimus dorsi, or dorsi. I've heard it pronounced both ways. That helps you do the butterfly stroke when you're swimming, right? Deltoid. You can see some of the triceps. I never do the teres, minor and major on a view like this. It's just not really fair. It's kind of nice because you can see external oblique, internal oblique, transversus abdominis. You can see the linea alba. You can see the rectus sheath. You can see the rectus abdominis over here. Right? Transversus abdominis, internal oblique, external oblique. Really nice external oblique out here. You can see the serratus also, really nice. Okay. Yeah, this is really good. You're looking at the back, right? You can see the deltoid's really nice. You can see some of the triceps, right? Oh, yeah. Don't forget your triceps has 3 heads. I think that's your little medial head. You know, it's kind of hard to tell from this angle. Remember, triceps will have medial, long, and lateral. There's your lats, really nice. Latissimus dorsi. There's your gluteus maximus and your gluteus medius. You can see some of the medius, right? Here's the extensor side. You see these are going to all these digits. So that's Extensor Digitorum, right? Then you got this on the ulnar side, Extensor carpi ulnaris, Extensor carpi radialis. Be nice if you said longus because there is a brevis next to it. They're not showing the brachioradialis that good, so I probably wouldn't do it. I think they're showing the anconius here. It's pretty decent. This is kind of nice because you can see the levator, scapulae, don't say that. Rhomboid minor, rhomboid major, right? You see the lats. Okay. This is that view I was telling about. So here's the gluteus maximus. So when you take that away from there, right, then you can see these muscles under here. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't do this on this view up here, but I could do this one here, piriformis, right? That's your sciatic nerve. Remember I said on the model it's kind of easy because that sciatic nerve comes from right in between that piriformis and here. I'm not too crazy about the way they did this, but that's going to be your obturator internus right here. That's your superior gemellus, and then that would be your inferior. Well, there you go. That would be your inferior gemellus. Remember, gemellus means twin. This looks a little better. Boom, boom, boom. So that's your superior gemellus. That's your obturator internus right in the middle. And that's your inferior gemellus. So there's your piriformis. It means pear-shaped in Latin, although that does not look like a pear to me. You can even see some of the gluteus medius. I doubt I would do it from this view, though. And there's your sciatic nerve. Okay. So here's from you're looking at the front now, and you're looking at the psoas major and the iliacus. So those form a group called the iliopsoas group, right? So I can point there, you go iliacus, there you go psoas major. See the way they're going down here to the femur. And what's that going to do is, don't forget you got that inguinal ligament that's going across here that holds this down. That's going to flex your hip. And there you can see them on the model. There's iliacus, there's psoas major. So there's your sartorius, by the way. There's your rectus femoris. There's your vastus medialis, vastus lateralis. And on the model, you can see this comes apart. So you can pull that rectus femoris off of there. And then you can see the vastus intermedius that's under it. Or at least you can see the connective tissue. It'll be colored in gray over the vastus intermedius. So this is your right? What happened? This, you look from the front, from the side, from the back. Okay. So there's your, so get yourself oriented. You go, oh, there's my inguinal ligament. There's my iliopsoas going under. There's my sartorius, right? There's my rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis. This little guy's called the tensor fascia lata. Tensor fascia lata sounds like a cup of coffee at Starbucks. There's your gluteus maximus. There's your iliotibial band or tract. So you're looking from the side, so that's your vastus lateralis. Look how big that guy is. And then you're looking from the back. So make sure you get oriented. You go, that's medial. This is lateral because there's my IT band or tract out to the lateral. So this would be my biceps femoris. Don't forget to say femoris. And this would be my semis, my semitendinosus. T is on top. And then the wider one under it would be the semimembranosus. So these are going medial. Okay. So which ones are part of your hamstrings? Well, that would be the semimembranosus, semitendinosus, and only the long head of the biceps femoris, not the short head, because that guy's pretty short. It's not long and stringy like a hamstring. Okay. And here you can see the way they drew that. It's pretty nice. So going laterally, that's your biceps. Going medially, and they're just showing the long head of the biceps here. They're not showing the short head. So all of this, what they just drew in color here, that's your hamstrings. Okay, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and your long head of your biceps. This is just the other side. Tendinosus, membranosus, long head of the biceps, femoris. Don't forget to say femoris. Now we're going to go down here and look at the calf. That's your gastrocnemius, and you're going to have soleus under it, and this kind of flowing together into this Achilles tendon down here, also called a calcaneal tendon. This is a beautiful view for your fibularis longus. See, that's parallel, versus your fibularis brevis looks like a feather, so it's bipinnate. That's a good bipinnate muscle, just like your rectus femoris is a good bipinnate muscle. Sartorius, that's nice and parallel. The fascicles I'm talking about. Okay. So here we pulled up the gastrocnemius. Gone. They cut it. So now you can see the plantaris under there. You can see the popliteus under there. You can see the soleus under there. Now, the plantaris, that's another good view of it, got this tendon. Sometimes I just point at the tendon and go, what does that tendon belong to? Plantaris muscle. That's the one, remember, they call it the freshman nerve in medical school, because when the freshman students are dissecting, they often mistake this for a nerve, but it's a tendon. And that's pretty easy to pop. You know, it's easily damaged. But the good news is this muscle doesn't do much, so they probably won't even repair it if somebody tears it, because it just doesn't do that much. Here's the front. There's your tibialis anterior, right? There's your extensor digitorum longus, and kind of buried under there is going to be your extensor hallucis or hallucis longus. I generally don't point at it because it's so hard to see, but I can point at the tendon going to this big toe. You go, what does that belong to? You go, extensor hallucis or hallucis longus. What does it do? Extends the hallux. What does this guy do? It extends the digits, right? Hence the name. There's another good view of your fibularis longus. The old name was peroneus longus, peroneus brevis, but now everybody goes fibularis longus, fibularis brevis. There's your extensor digitorum longus, right? It's really nice going to the digits. You can see a little bit of the extensor hallucis longus. And here we pull the gastroc and the soleus off, right? So you can see the popliteus. You can see part of your posterior tibialis right there, but this is really nice for your flexor hallucis longus, and then the pointer he's using, or she, whoever, that's your that is your Flexor Digitorum longus. Notice the way Flexor hallucis longus is on the lateral, and the Flexor Digitorum is on the medial. The little tendons cross over each other under the under that medial malleolus over here, remember? And so this ends up going to your big toe, this ends up going to digits. And I think that just gives you better leverage when they're positioned like that. Then here, so first thing I'll look for is this. Which one is above the flexor retinaculum? Find that tendon above it, and then follow it up, and you know that's your palmaris longus, right? Then, if I'm pointing on either side of it, these are flexors. That would be Flexor Radialis, right? And then you got your Flexor on there. So I'm not that crazy about it here. But anyway, remember you got the 3 flexors on this side. That's your brachioradialis. So didn't we? Oh, there's your brachialis, by the way. There's your biceps brachii, long and short. Under it would be your brachialis. Okay. Same thing here. It's just a different model. See right here, you can see that. I like it better here. So that's your Pronator teres. Right. There's your brachialis. There's your biceps brachii, long and short. Here's part of your triceps, long. That looks like your little medial head right there. There's your brachioradialis there. This is kind of nice. Right? You see the pronator, really nice. Flexor radialis. And then that's your palmaris longus. Don't forget your corcobrachialis up here. Don't forget your subscapularis up here. Right? There's your 2 heads of your biceps, your deltoid. And so, same thing, they're pointing at the pronator. I think I have a picture of that with nothing around it. At least on my lecture I do. I like this because you can really see what's above the flexor retinaculum. So you know automatically this one right here is your palmaris longus. Okay. There's your pronator teres and your supinator. See the way they're both hooked to the radius? That's the insertion. This is your Pronator quadratus, which I don't think is in your book, right? So anyway, that's it. Well, that went pretty quick. Like I said, we didn't really go into the origins, actions, insertions, but I have them all written out for you. So I'll put this on YouTube for you.